Many people eat well, exercise regularly, and still struggle with stubborn belly fat. Calories seem under control, workouts are consistent, yet fat around the waist refuses to budge. In many cases, the real issue isn't food or exercise at all, it's chronic stress and cortisol. Today, we're breaking down how cortisol affects belly fat, why stress slows weight loss, and how managing stress can dramatically improve metabolic health. Cortisol is often called the stress hormone, but its role is more complex than that. Cortisol helps regulate blood sugar, inflammation, and energy availability. In short bursts, it's essential for survival. The problem begins when cortisol stays elevated for long periods of time. Chronic stress keeps the body in a constant state of alert, and this has powerful effects on fat storage, especially in the abdominal area. One reason cortisol is so closely linked to belly fat is its effect on blood sugar. When cortisol rises, it signals the body to release glucose into the bloodstream to provide quick energy. If that energy isn't used, which is common with modern psychological stress, insulin rises to manage the excess glucose. High insulin combined with high cortisol creates the perfect environment for fat storage, particularly visceral fat around the organs. This is why stress-related weight gain often shows up first in the abdomen. Cortisol also directly influences fat cell behavior. Abdominal fat tissue contains more cortisol receptors than fat stored elsewhere in the body. This makes belly fat especially responsive to stress signals. When cortisol is elevated, these fat cells become more active at storing energy and less willing to release it. In other words, stress tells your body to protect its energy reserves, and belly fat becomes the preferred storage site. Another way cortisol affects metabolism is through muscle breakdown. Elevated cortisol encourages the body to break down muscle tissue to release amino acids for energy. Because muscle is metabolically active, losing muscle lowers resting metabolic rate. This means fewer calories are burned throughout the day, making fat loss even harder over time. This is one reason chronic stress often leads to a softer body composition, even in people who exercise regularly. Sleep plays a major role in cortisol regulation. Poor sleep raises cortisol levels and disrupts appetite hormones that control hunger and fullness. After inadequate sleep, cravings for high sugar and high-fat foods increase, while impulse control decreases. This combination further worsens blood sugar instability and fat storage. Without proper sleep, the body never fully exits stress mode. Stress also affects digestion and gut health, which indirectly impacts metabolism. When the nervous system is in fight or flight mode, digestion slows and nutrient absorption becomes less efficient. Poor digestion increases inflammation and blood sugar swings, both of which elevate cortisol even further. This creates a feedback loop where stress worsens metabolism and metabolic dysfunction increases stress on the body. Exercise is often recommended for stress relief, but the type of exercise matters. While movement helps lower stress in the long term, excessive high-intensity training without adequate recovery can actually raise cortisol. For people already under chronic stress, too much intense cardio can backfire. Balancing strength training, light cardio, and recovery-focused movement helps reduce cortisol while still supporting fat loss. Breathing patterns are another powerful and often overlooked factor. Slow, deep breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, signaling safety and relaxation. This lowers cortisol, improves insulin sensitivity, and supports fat-burning pathways. Even a few minutes of controlled breathing can shift the body out of stress mode. Stress management doesn't always require dramatic lifestyle changes. Sometimes it starts with slowing down. Mindset also plays a role. Constant mental pressure, perfectionism, and guilt around food or exercise keep cortisol elevated even when the body is at rest. When weight loss feels like a constant battle, the body often responds by holding on to fat more tightly. Creating periods of mental recovery is just as important as physical recovery for metabolic health. It's important to understand that cortisol itself isn't the enemy. The problem is chronic elevation without recovery. When cortisol returns to normal rhythms, higher in the morning, lower at night. Metabolism functions more efficiently, energy stabilizes, and fat loss becomes easier. Reducing stress doesn't mean doing nothing. It means creating balance. So how do you reduce cortisol for better weight loss? By prioritizing quality sleep, managing training intensity, stabilizing blood sugar with regular meals, practicing relaxation techniques, and allowing your body real recovery time. When stress is reduced, insulin works better, inflammation decreases, and belly fat becomes easier to lose. The bottom line is this: you can't force fat loss in a stressed body. When cortisol is constantly elevated, the body chooses survival over leanness. But when stress is managed, metabolism works with you instead of against you. Addressing cortisol isn't a shortcut. It's a foundational step towards sustainable weight loss and better metabolic health. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more science-based videos on metabolism, hormones, and sustainable weight loss.